When I first discovered my wife was cheating, I thought that was the most painful moment of my life. The betrayal cut me so deeply that I didn't think anything could hurt more. I believed her affair was the darkest truth I would ever face. But I was wrong. What I didn't know at the time was that her infidelity was only the surface of something much darker, something that would shatter me in ways I didn't think possible. My wife, Melissa, and I had been married for 8 years. From the outside, we looked like the perfect couple. We had a nice home, stable jobs, and the kind of marriage people envied. Friends often told me how lucky I was to have her, and I believed it. She was beautiful, warm, and she made me feel like I was the only man in the world. At least that's what I thought, but over time, little things began to change. She grew distant, guarded, more secretive with her phone. She started dressing up when she said she was working late. She was distracted at home, often lost in thought, and when I asked what was wrong, she brushed me off. I ignored it for a while, telling myself I was overthinking, that all marriages go through phases. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. The confirmation came one night when she said she was working late again. Something in my gut told me to check. I drove to her office, but her car wasn't there. My chest tightened as I sat in the parking lot, wondering where she could be. I drove around aimlessly until I spotted her car parked outside a hotel. My heart sank. I pulled into the lot, and sure enough, I saw her through the glass doors, standing at the reception desk with another man. She laughed at something he said and touched his arm like it was the most natural thing in the world. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to storm inside, to confront them right there, but my body wouldn't move. I sat frozen in my car, watching as the woman I loved disappeared into an elevator with someone else. That night, I barely slept. My mind was racing, torn between anger, heartbreak, and denial. The next morning, when she came home, she acted like nothing had happened. She kissed me, smiled, asked how my night was. The casualness of her betrayal made me sick. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted proof. I wanted her lies to crumble under the weight of undeniable evidence. Over the next week, I went through her phone while she slept, checked her emails, and followed her when she claimed to be working late. And every time, my worst fears were confirmed. She was having an affair. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, was sleeping with another man and lying to my face every single day. Finally, I couldn't hold it in any longer. One evening, I confronted her. I laid out the proof in front of her, the hotel receipts, the messages, the photos I had taken. She broke down crying, begged for forgiveness, told me it was a mistake. She swore she loved me and that it had meant nothing. I wanted to believe her, but I couldn't. The damage was done at that moment. I thought her affair was the worst part of our marriage. I thought nothing could be worse than the betrayal I had just uncovered. But I had no idea that her infidelity was just a small piece of a much bigger, much darker secret. A few days later, as I was going through her things, I found something strange. Hidden in her drawer was a second phone, one I had never seen before. My hands shook as I turned it on, expecting to see more messages from her affair partner. But what I found was far more disturbing. There were dozens of messages and emails with someone else, not the man I had seen her with, but another man entirely. They weren't romantic, at least not in the same way. They were businesslike, coded, sometimes threatening. They talked about money, about keeping quiet, about payments due. At first, I didn't understand. Then I found the bank statements. Large sums of money had been withdrawn from our joint account over the past 2 years. Thousands upon thousands of dollars, all gone. When I confronted her again, she froze. She tried to deny it, but when I showed her the evidence, she collapsed. That's when the truth came out. Melissa hadn't just been cheating. She had been leading a double life. The affair was real, but it wasn't just about love or lust. It was connected to something much darker. She had been blackmailed by someone she was involved with before we even got married. Years ago, before me, she had gotten into trouble with drugs and dangerous people. I had never known any of this. She had always told me her past was simple, that she had nothing to hide. But in reality, she had been hiding everything. The man from the messages was someone from her past who had resurfaced. He knew about her, old mistakes, and he had been using that information to control her. He threatened to expose her, to destroy her reputation unless she paid him. At first, she gave him small amounts, but eventually the payments grew larger, and she began taking money from our savings without me knowing. When the money wasn't enough, she got involved with him again in ways I can barely bring myself to say. The affair I discovered wasn't even the full betrayal. It was just the part one could see. Behind it was an entire web of lies, secrets, and dangerous choices she had made long before I ever came into her life. She admitted she had been living in fear, constantly trying to keep me from finding out. And when I finally uncovered her affair, she thought it would all unravel anyway, so she confessed. I was destroyed. Not only had she cheated, but she had also dragged me into a mess I never asked for. Our money was gone. Our marriage was built on lies. The woman I thought I loved was a stranger, someone I didn't recognize anymore. I thought the affair was the worst thing, but the real secret, the drugs, the debts, the blackmail, that was the knife that cut the deepest. She had looked me in the eye for years and let me believe we had a normal, happy life while hiding something that could have ruined us both. In the weeks that followed, everything fell apart. We separated. I couldn't forgive her, not for the cheating, not for the lies, not for dragging me into her darkness. My family was shocked. My friends couldn't believe it. And as much as it broke me, I knew I had to walk away. Staying would have meant drowning with her. Leaving was the only way to save myself. Even now, I struggle to process it all. I thought catching my wife in an affair was the worst thing that could happen, but I was wrong. The affair was just the tip of the iceberg. The real secret, the one she had buried deep, the one that explained everything, was far worse. And the hardest part is knowing that the woman I married never really existed. She was a mask, a carefully crafted lie. The truth was something I never could have imagined. Thought her affair was the worst part, but until I learned the real secret, I didn't know what true heartbreak was.